Welcome back to Bleacher Brawls. We are here on the Bleacher Brawls YouTube channel, and we're going to discuss a very sluggish Red Sox offense as of late. They just played a series in LA, Anaheim technically, against the Angels where they didn't do much offensively. They only scored 4 runs in that series, and 3 of them were in the last game. It was a rough series. I think their last game against the Padres, they didn't score either. So it's been a little bit of a rough time, their last 4 games at the plate. And even dating back to May 10th, it's been a little bit of a rough stretch, rough 2 weeks for the Red Sox at the plate. So what has gone wrong for the Red Sox? What has gone wrong for their lineup? And which players have struggled that weren't struggling previously? We're going to discuss it right here on the Bleacher Brawls YouTube channel. So let's not waste any time. My name is Derek. I'm here with Luke. And let's dive straight into it. So as I said, there have been struggles in this Red Sox lineup. And it hasn't been pretty. But I'll hand it over to Luke first. You'll get to talk about 2 players, but who's the one player that you wanted to bring up first that you think has really struggled and it hasn't helped this Red Sox team in terms of offensive production?
It's got to be the linchpin of this lineup. The guy, the longest tenured member of this offense, the homegrown member of this offense, the guy who Chaim Bloom and the Red Sox front office appointed essentially as the leader of this offense before the season started, Rafael Devers. He's got 13 home runs. He's near the top of the league in RBIs. He's mashing the ball. He's hitting. He's hitting the long ball. He's driving in runs when guys get on base in front of him. But as far as creating offense, creating traffic, if he's not hitting it out of the park, it feels like he's a no-show. His on-base percentage is .290 for the season. He has walked 10 times all season in, I think, 50 games. So as a guy a team has signed for 11 years, $330 million, you can't be the guy who's just going to poke one out of the park every once in a while. And Joey said this on the podcast before the year even started. You've got to do more than that. You've got to be getting the singles and the doubles, and you've got to be creating runs in multiple ways. And Devers really has not been doing that this year. He'll drive in runs when he's hitting out of the park. He'll get an RBI single, an RBI double here and there. But that can't be it. You can't be a limited offensive contributor when you are paid that kind of money and you have that kind of pedigree on a team with a lot of young guys and a lot of transitional guys like the Red Sox have. Devers is trying to hit a 6-run home run every time he swings the bat, and you can see it. If you feel like he's going to fall over every time he swings. He is best when his swing is geared towards hitting the ball the other way. And when he's doing that, when he gets a ball over the heart of the plate, a mistake pitch, and he'll send it over the wall. He'll do that plenty. But he is totally off balance. He is swinging from his heels, and that has led to the kind of production that is really, when you look at his home run and RBI total, I feel like it overstates really the kind of player he's been this year. So Rafael Devers, I think, has got to take the biggest part of the blame pie for this latest team-wide offensive struggle, and the last one as well. The last one they had as well, about a week or so ago, when the Cardinals swept them.
Yeah, it's definitely been a rough stretch for the Red Sox. And, Devers as the franchise guy, you're hoping he's the guy that's going to get you out of the slump, out of that team-wide slump, and he hasn't done that yet. Now, we don't know. They're about to go play in Arizona, and who knows? Maybe he turns up there and, starts hitting, right? But so far he hasn't, and, you're paying a guy $300 million. You'd like for him to really step up in these moments and turn the team around. For me, I'm going to kind of blend my 2 players into one, and I'm going to go with Reese McGuire and Connor Wong. I've always said for catchers that defense is the most important thing, and it definitely is. I'd rather have a catcher play brilliant defense and not hit at all than have a catcher that is a good hitter but can't play defense, right? I'll take the catcher who's good defensively over the catcher that can hit but can't play defense. Connor Wong has been a pleasant surprise all year long, especially behind the plate. Although recently, though, since May 10th, from May 10th on, Connor Wong in his last 30 at bats, 32 plate appearances, he only has 5 hits. He has a single, 2 doubles, and 2 home runs. Also, one of those home runs was recently against the Angels in pretty much garbage time, if you want to call it. So it's been rough. Now, like I said, the defense of Connor Wong has been amazing, but you still can't hit 167. I think is what he's hitting right now since 167 from May 10th onwards. You just can't do that over a 2-week stretch as a team starting catcher. You just can't. And then Reese McGuire, even he's a guy defensively. He's been a disappointment this year. And you look at him, and from May 10th on, he's only got 15 at bats, which 15 plate appearances. He's 3 for 15. He's hitting 200. All 3 of those hits are singles, no extra base hits. So for the catching situation, and I understand that I always know that offense is struggling will always make your catching situation look worse if your catchers are not offensive catchers, and that's totally true. But at the same time, like your catchers you can't have your starting catcher hit 167 over a 2-week stretch, and then your backup is, even when they do come in, is still hitting 200 with no power at all. It's not a recipe that's going to win you games. I think Connor Wong can be a starting catcher on a good team, but he also can't hit 167 over a 2-week stretch when your whole team is going cold. This is the time where you want a guy to step up, like a Pablo Reyes has stepped up when he's played. When the Red Sox have asked him to play, he's stepped up. This is a time where you're expecting some guys to step up. The catcher spot hasn't seen anyone step up in this recent stretch, and it is a little sad because when the top of the order or the middle of the order are struggling, you're at least hoping the bottom of the order can at least give you something. And they haven't really given you much. It's really been Pablo Reyes who's giving you stuff, and then Ref Snyder against lefties, which isn't every day, and then Raimel Tapia is a bench guy. So your 3 best hitters are Ref Snyder, Tapia, and Reyes, all 3 who are typically bench guys over the past 2 weeks. Those have been your 3 best hitters. So not ideal at all.
And that's been the biggest concern with this team offensively from my standpoint, is that the really good offensive teams, they kind of have players take turns getting hot. And that's what I saw at the beginning of this season. Devers and Duvall were really, and Verdugo were really hot at the beginning of the season. And then when Devers cooled off and Duvall got hurt, it felt like Yoshida really caught fire. And then, so it seemed like it was going in that direction, that the way it does with good offensive teams at the beginning. And then now all of a sudden, these last couple hot streaks, these last couple slumps, I should say, it's just the whole team going cold at the same time, which we've seen before. It's baseball. It happens. But the really good teams seem to figure out a way to avoid those team-wide slumps. And what's interesting about the catcher position is that it feels to me like the roles have been kind of flip-flopped. When everyone and their mama was running on Reese McGuire and stealing bases, I felt like, and Wong was cutting down everybody and shutting down the running game, that Wong kind of became the main catcher. And that, which is, like you said, catcher, it's a defensive position. Defense is most important at catcher. But I think those less at-bats has really affected Reese McGuire. And look, Reese McGuire, he wasn't a 330 hitter when the Red Sox got him. His hitting was always going to slow down he wasn't always going to hit the way he did at the end of last year when he came over here, and at the beginning of this year when he first started in this season. But I think the lack of plate appearances with Wong really shining defensively has also really hurt him, because now he comes up to the plate, he looks lost to me. I'm seeing him swing at terrible pitches, and like you said, when he does manage a hit, it's a single, and he just doesn't look like the same kind of offensive player to me.
Definitely, I agree with that. It's been rough. Defense is the most important thing at the catcher spot, and when Reese McGuire has been struggling defensively, you're definitely going to get some questions, because if you're struggling defensively, then at the very least, at least hit if you're going to struggle defensively. but he's been struggling defensively, and now he's struggling at the plate, so it's not ideal. Who's your second player, Luke, that just been struggling and hasn't helped this Red Sox team?
The guy who was the most consistent offensive player all year, I felt, until this West Coast trip, which is, I mean, anybody watching this, I think that's a Red Sox fan already knows who I'm going to say. It's Alex Verdugo. Clearly, this offense has thrived with him hitting at the top of the order, and really, drilling singles to left field, hitting gappers, driving in runs, getting on base so that Yoshida and Turner and Devers can drive him in. He was a beast. He was a beast for the first month and a half of the season, and now he's what is he, 8 for his last 40, something like that.
Verdugo is 8 for his last 45.
Okay. He's had a lot of weak contact lately. He's taken some bad swings. I don't think his approach has changed. I don't think he's pressing, trying to do too much, or getting frustrated. I think a lot of it is probably regression to the mean. But I'm expecting... He had a great start to the 2021 season, and he had a great end to the 2022 season, but I never saw him as solid and as mature with his approach at the plate until this season. I do still think he's a better player than he has been since he's been here. I think this season he did take a leap, and I think we'll see that again later in the season, but maybe he wasn't quite as good a player as we saw at the beginning of the year with the 3 walk-offs and with the the high batting average, as high as it was. So, and just going through a slump doesn't change the fact that he is faster. He is running the bases faster than he has since he's been here, and he is playing I feel like he's playing twice as good a right field as he's ever played this season. Is that taking a toll on his offense now that we're getting a few more games into the season? We're 50 games in. I hope that's not the case. I hope he's just in a lot better condition right now. I think he will turn it around because I think he's a more mature hitter now, but I mean, clearly that offense really thrived around him hitting at the top of the order, and without him contributing consistently at the top of the order, and without Devers doing more than just knocking one out of the park every 9 or 10 at-bats, then this Red Sox lineup, I think, is going to continue to struggle. They're not the only offenders. It's been a team-wide issue right now, but those are the 2 most important bats in this lineup, I believe.
Yeah, definitely. I think Verdugo kind of sets the table for everyone, especially as a leadoff hitter. And then I think you're looking at Devers to kind of be your big bat in the middle of the lineup. And recently, both of those guys, Devers has struggled a little bit more so this year, but Verdugo definitely recently has. You could also say it's a little bit of maybe a mini slump more so than regression to the mean. I think it's a little bit more of just he's had a rough 2 weeks more so than I think regression to the mean you'd see more over like a month, 2-month stretch. When it's just a 2-week stretch, I think it's more just going cold, just having a little bit of a cold stretch. But it's definitely something to watch. If the Red Sox offense can bounce back, there were some bright spots with their pitching this weekend with Brian Bayo and with Tanner Houck. So there were some bright spots there at the very least. So the Red Sox, if they can put the whole package together, they can be very, very, very competitive. They just got to get that whole package put together and put everything together, and I think the offense is a big part of that.
With some consistency. That's the thing. I think they have the starting rotation in place now that can win a lot of games if the offense is putting up 3, 4, 4.5 runs per game on a somewhat consistent basis. But if this is going to be one of those boom or bust offenses where they either score 8 runs or 2 runs, then this rotation isn't a dominant rotation, and they're not going to do well enough to reach the playoffs. So, I mean, this offense has to give a consistent, good effort. They don't need to throw up 10 runs twice a week, only to throw up 2 or 3 runs the other 5 days a week. They need to put forth a consistent effort and give good at bats and push across, a few or several runs a game. And now they have the kind of rotation and bullpen that can take advantage of that. These guys just have to find some consistency and not be so boom or bust.
Definitely, it's consistency and just getting all the pieces of the puzzle together. And I think health too. Red Sox get a little bit healthy too. That'll always help. That should always help too. But I think it's a good note to wrap us up on. So make sure to check out all our Bleacher Brawls links in the description of the Bleacher Brawls website, podcast, Instagram, and Twitter, plus all the crew stories. Let us know your thoughts in the comments, Red Sox fans. Let us know your thoughts in the comments on this lineup. Going cold, and what are your kind of hopes for this lineup? You think they're going to get out of this slump? Who's for real? Who's favoring? Like, is Alex Verdugo? Is this slump real, or can he be the guy who was at the start of the season? Let us know in the comments. Make sure to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell so you get notified whenever we post. For Luke, my name is Derek. Thanks for tuning in to Bleacher Brawls, and we'll see you next time.